Hello, everybody. Thank you so much to be here. We are going to talk about is the young generation the regeneration. Let's see if there are a lot of people here. Forms of being, think, and live. So, what are the current difficulties that young people find after the last year of the pandemic period, and which are the principal actions that they think are the best to empower and lead the youth? We see through social media more hate speech and violence, and at the same time, we also see more active youth movements as an example of social empowerment around the world. In that way, we ask ourselves if how could young people be resilient and conscious of social obstacles and conflicts? What is the role of youth in their communities? And what are the challenges of young people with their communities to create citizen participation and teamwork? So that's why in this panel we want to discuss all these questions and also these. What are the most important challenges for the youth in this post-pandemic world? Actually, we ask these questions to all the students that want to participate here because we want to know your opinions. We want to know what are your challenge or your friend's challenge. Also, another question was, how could you define being a conscious and resilient young person? Because this is the big thing that we are trying to do this conference. We need to be resilient and we need to be conscious, but also we have to be have leadership and empowerment, but with all together. So that's why, for example, I got to show you here. We did an exercise with a professor from the University of Illinois in Chicago, with Professor Anna, and we discussed this with her students, and they discussed about we need resilience, we need dialogue, we need include these topics in the curriculum. We feel anxiety, we need more stories, we need to create new adjust and support to the others, and also we need to be more open-minded. So all these terms we need to care and we need to discuss of this. So that's why also I asked to our speakers today about what are the most important challenges for the youth in the post-pandemic world. And Maria says about balance, Rosario said about transcending individualism, Victor said ecosystem regeneration, and Bruna said more conversation. So today we are here, and that's why I invite to all these young people that works also with young people to discuss all these topics, because we need to hear our youth. So I'm going to present now the speakers that are with me. We have Maria. Maria is a project coordinator at Youthful Yours in Greece. She's an educator and youth working experience in multicultural non-formal education and learning methods. After her graduations from the Bachelor of Philosophy, she found her passion for experience learning, and since then, she has been integrated into her work. She has been writing projects through Erasmus Plus and cooperating with organizations through Europe. Purpose, love, and exploring new areas of experience and her motivations in life. Also, we have Bruna Tavares, is a marketing and analytics student at University of Illinois in Chicago from Brazil and USA. Through her time in university, she has interned in state politics, information and marketing technology, education software, and with USA Agency for International U.S. Development through a virtual federal state service program. So here she helped in creating resources for the Youth Lead platform, where young change makers all over the world can do to find resources that enable them in making a difference in their communities. So also from Guatemala, we have Victor Mora. He is a co-founder of Guate Ambiente, an organization focused on the integration of improved stores to rural communities in Guatemala to reduce the consumption of fry work and introduce communities to new renewable technology to cook their food. Also, we have Rosario. Rosario is now the co-founder of Humanity on the Move, a movement that encourages humanity beyond borders by fighting for the human rights of refugees and asylum seekers and recognizing their dignity inherent to every human being. And also, the current project is Breaking Borders Through Art, aims at deconstructing prejudice but building meaningfully relationship between community and forced migrants. So we have here a lot of good projects that they already have, and I don't want to speak more, so I just going to let them speak, and each of them are going to present their work. So thank you so much, and Maria, if you want to start.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, I will start with let me share my screen, with my organization. So I'm part of Youthfully Yours. It's an organization based in Thessaloniki. Here. So yeah, we started, like, this is our logo, Youthfully Yours GR. Okay, sorry. Let's start from the beginning. So we started at 2011. We experienced a project from Youth in Action. Erasmus Plus was called back then like that, and get amazed by these opportunities for youth in different fields with financial cover and traveling. And we started with as an informal group, and later on we created the non-profit organization named Youthfully Yours GR, which is now based in Thessaloniki, but we are cooperating with international projects abroad. What we wanted to do, what was our mission, was to make European projects widely known in Greece, evolve in the process of project writing and develop this project in Greece, especially to help young people to travel around Europe and learn new cultures, integrate into different cultures, support people, especially young people with fewer opportunities, whether it's financial or geographical, which are the two most important aspects in Greece, support volunteer action in Greece, and to give young people new ways to explore themselves. So our goal was to commune young people from Greece to the European community. Young people didn't know much about this kind of opportunities, so the aim was to make them part of the European community, active participation through it, and self-improvement of themselves. How we tried to do it with many fields. So we started with partnerships with NGOs from Europe in youth exchanges and activities that are in the key action one, which is youth exchanges and training courses. Then going ourselves in training courses, so to educate ourselves. We started making workshops about arts, digital tools, and soft skills since 2015. Also, we were from the beginning sending young people abroad to volunteer with EVS and now ESC. We have also our web radio channel since 2018, and we are also, since 2014, we are implementing projects in Greece, and we are still writing projects to invite young people in Greece. Our purpose, okay, we saw this. And the projects we do is we are mostly in Greece, with venues of specifically in the North Greece, and we organize mainly youth exchanges, training courses, and contact making seminars. We used to also have a VET, which is vocational educational trainings. Our target group, as I said, are young people with few opportunities, especially in the financial and the geographical aspect. And we wanted young people who are motivated to explore themselves in many areas, to experience different cultures. Our main topics are art and expression through art, soft skills, and entrepreneurship. And now we dive more into personal development and empowerment. And our plans for the future is to create sustainability to our project. So to have a sustainable source of projects we create every year to focus on the environment and mental health of young people, as we think that it's quite important now, to give tools and methods for young people to thrive and create their initiatives. And we're trying to do this with partnerships for workshops and youth exchanges, training courses, and strategic partnerships. And the projects that we have for the future are youth exchange about soft skills. So we are about to make this hopefully this year, training courses about environment and mental health, and training courses on personal development and skills. So this is briefly the organization. I can also send you the link of the Facebook page, and you can always see the updates of it. So I can stop sharing. Did I stop sharing, Estrella?
Yes, it's okay.
Yeah, perfect.
Thank you so much, Maria. Bruna, do you want to share, please?
Okay, so hi everyone. As she mentioned, I'm Bruna Tavares. I'm currently a third-year student at the University of Illinois in Chicago, studying marketing and management information systems and business analytics. So especially during COVID-19 and the pandemic we've been in, I've been really interested in how data and media have impacted kind of our day-to-day lives and everything that has happened these past few months. Just to give you some background on my experience, right now I'm currently working with the U.S. Agency for International Development through a program with the U.S. Department of State with their Youth Lead platform. And their Youth Lead platform provides a lot of resources to youth who want to get involved with their communities. I definitely suggest you guys check it out if you're looking for resources on how to start your own nonprofit or how to start volunteering within your community, especially in a virtual world. We share a lot of things from around the globe. And Youth Lead has a website for each country that the U.S. Agency for International Development is kind of doing work in right now. I also work at Pearson with marketing automation and data privacy. So a lot of the stuff that I do there revolves around how we're using people's data from the platforms that Pearson offers. So if you buy a textbook through Pearson, it's a digital textbook. I work with how we're using that data responsibly that we're receiving. I've also worked in consulting and technology and in e-commerce at a cruise company, which during COVID-19 has been an interesting experience to work in the travel industry, which was basically completely shut down this past year. I'm really excited to talk to you guys more just about media and how social media has impacted our lives and how we can go forward, I guess, with the use of social media in an effective way. And yeah, excited to hand it off to Victor now. Let me stop sharing my screen.
Thanks so much, Bruna. Victor, do you want to share?
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Victor Mora. As Estrella told, America, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about my experience here in Guatemala and the rural communities of Guatemala here. That we have here, and that I was focused on the problem of jobs here in Guatemala, because mainly 60% of all Guatemalans use wood. A lot of people causes damage damages of air, eyes, damages of reading. So I was kind of problems. So with friends, we found a non-profit organization to look new technologies for solving environmental problems such as food stocks. Here in so we work with biodigesters, we work with hydrogen stocks in rural community, and we also made to promote some technologies such as electricity and the use of a photovoltaic system for generate water for use in homes and in small industries. And I also, in this couple new years, I have the opportunity to work with another organization that called Ceres, that we aim to work a little bit more on the field, working on agricultural systems, working with a community here in Guatemala near to the city that it calls Rodeo, Escuintla, a rural community that work in agriculture. But we look forward to improve lives by introducing them to permaculture, introducing about of bamboo for and the use of other types of systems such as apiculture, sustainable apiculture, and other grassroots initiatives that we have on the field. So it will be a pleasure for me to share with you more about this information, and I'm excited to just hear about these great persons from all over the world. So thank you very much, and I pass you to the next.
Thank you so much, Victor. As you see, in different parts of the world, we don't have enough. The internet is not so good. I am from Mexico, and in some parts, and not only Mexico, but in different parts of the world, we don't have a stable internet. So thank you so much, Victor, and to all of you. Now I'm going to start with questions. I'm going to just say a question, and then you are going to discuss about this, and then you are going to continue. I don't want to speak a lot here. I just want to pass you to the
Rosario
word. So I just to start. Sorry, Victor.
Am I to present our organization?
Yes. Sorry.
No problem. I just
Thank you.
Hello, guys. I'm Rose, and I'm gonna share my screen. Okay, I think this is it. Can you see my screen? Okay, I hope you can. So I'm coming here as one of the representatives from HOME, which stands for Humanity on the Move. And our main objective is to move towards a humanity beyond borders and closer to home. And why did this idea come up? We are a group of students from many different areas. And after what has been happening with the refugee crisis and everything that happens in the heart of Europe, and the lack of recognition of people's human dignity and the oppression that they suffer from is so intolerable for us that we decided that it's time that we do something. Here are some photographs of my that I took when I did some volunteering in Samos, which is an island 2 kilometers away from Turkey, where As you can see, I saw things that are totally unacceptable. And just like me, there's other volunteers in our organization that went through the same experience, and that got extremely revolted. So what we want to do is to fight with the refugees and for them, but we don't want to do this alone, and we want to count with our participation as much as we can, because we want to be a platform and an organization that empowers and amplifies their voices as much as we can. And our three main streams were very recent. We only started becoming a movement on the 31st of January, is to promote their human dignity, because above all, this is a crisis of human dignity and a crisis of the universal human rights that we all signed, that declaration, but that is not being acted upon. So we wanted to do this through education, activism, and help to integrate these people into society. So this is what we have started to do. We gave already some educational workshops with some associations, and we're still gonna do some more with some refugees and asylum seekers too that want to talk about their experience and let people know what is happening, which is what we want to do, is not talk for them, but let them talk as much as they can. And our main project, as Estrella talked about, is Breaking Borders Through Art, where basically we are connecting artists all over the world. We also have an artist in Mexico, for example, with refugees and asylum seekers, and they get into touch. They start talking about the crisis, but this is not an interview, or not meant to be an interview, but a way to establish personal relations and overcome all this prejudice and preconceived notions that we have and that the media inflicts upon us. And through this connection that they establish, a piece of art is created in any style. We want to make art as free as possible. And above all, this project is to create empathy, to make people reflect more, to make people understand the consequences on other people, how people are living, how people are forced to live, how people are being oppressed, and to understand that we can create relationships independently of all of this, and to understand that we are all humans and that we all have essence, and that essence and that value must be recognized by all and to all. So these are some examples of some finished pieces. Here it is an asylum seeker from Uganda, and he is in touch with a Portuguese artist who developed this piece with him, with the colors that he decided he wanted to use, with the sentences he decided he wanted to use, giving a face to all the people made faceless by society. And then this is the second example, made by an artist about and with an Afghan refugee. Here he's portrayed as a mockingbird, which symbolizes migration and freedom, and as a bear, which symbolizes strength. And he is upside down, like his head is totally opposing the roofs of the houses. It looks like they are battling against each other, and these houses don't have any doors. They just have windows, because people don't really act and people don't really invite you to come in, and the world is not right now made for all, or we don't allow it to be for all. This is the third example, and this is using stencils, and it's the favorite sentence of an Iranian asylum seeker currently in Greece, which says the most beautiful things are not seen or touched, they are felt by the heart, and his main goal in life is to strive. And there was a paintball gun used for this, to create this effect and to show how it is really beautiful to say things in theory, but in practice, a disaster comes along and destroys everything and brings chaos to all the order that was once there. This is also another example. This is made by a group of photographers in Moria in Thessaloniki camp, Farsi photographers, refugees and asylum seekers, about another asylum seeker in Samos, which shows the oppression that she faced in her country, and also how she was dealt with in Turkey when she has asked for asylum there. And lastly, this is another example of an art piece that is being created, and it uses the skull because the main goal is to ensure that no such memories are ever play a part in the memory of anyone else in the future. So yeah, that's it. This is a little presentation. We started now. And thank you also for inviting me to participate.
Thank you so much, Rosario. Just to start, we are going to discuss some, like I already said, some questions that we want to discuss and we want to dialogue. So I'm going to start with Bruna. Well, we see through social media more hate speech and violence, and in every part of the world. How could we prepare young people to constructively respond to the disinformation, hate speech, and violence that appears in social media, since your perspective or your experience?
Yeah, of course. I think that there are two parts to solving this problem. And I think the first part is that it is our generation's responsibility to stop the hate speech and violence that we see on social media. And that's exactly why I'm going into more of the corporate route within my career, is because the generation that's working at companies like Google and Facebook and Instagram right now, they were taught to make money off of the platforms that they built, whether that's making money in a positive or negative way. When it started, it didn't matter. Our generation now, we're being taught is how can we do that in a positive way? How can we stop the spread of misinformation and not profit off of misinformation and not profit off of hate speech? But the true reality right now is that every time that I go on TikTok or I go on Instagram and I see something that's wrong and I try to make a comment and say, hey, this is wrong, here's the right statistic, that post, that misinformation, it's getting rewarded. It's going to start showing up higher on people's feeds and more people are going to see it. So I think that how we can take action right now is to stop responding to negativity and start sharing positivity. So all of the organizations that you just saw, Rosario, Maria, and Victor share, start going sharing their content instead of responding to information that's wrong. I'm from Brazil, and right now I live in the United States, and there's a lot of politics going on in both of those countries. And every day on my social media feed, I see people sharing things that politicians said that are wrong. And while I do think that these leaders need to be held accountable, when it comes to social media, the more you share it, the more people are going to see that misinformation, the more people are going to see that hate speech. So if you stop responding to it and then just start sharing yourself what is right and what is positive, like what all of the other presenters are sharing today, that's how we're going to be able to kind of eradicate that hate speech, but then also respond in a way that's constructive. And then next, I have a question for Rosario. So you just presented on kind of the work that you do with refugees, and pluralism is where various social groups can live in a democratic life based on participation, acceptance, and recognition of the different forms of existing thoughts, members of diverse ethnic, racial, religious, and social groups. So how do you think that young people can contribute to a pluralist society despite social obstacles and conflicts?
So first of all, I totally agree with what you were saying in terms of spreading positivity above everything, because negativity is just a way of clashing more with people and created more obstacles than actually resolving situations, than actually encouraging empathy and encouraging action, right? People need to identify, and it's not going to be through violent or aggressive messages or definitely disinformation that's going to happen. So there need to be emotional appeals, and that I think that is very important for pluralism, because pluralism is not about having necessarily an extremely heterogeneous society. It is about a society. So it's not about diversity in itself as much as it is about making sure that you're integrating all of those groups that you have. You can have a country that is not as heterogeneous, for example, because the migration flows just don't end up there. But that country will always be subdivided into different groups, and it is very important to ensure that all those groups are not marginalized. It is important to understand that these groups need to coexist rather than just be totally segregated. So it's way more about the inclusion of all the groups that we have here, the integrating them. Of someone who was marginalized by us right now, would we be able to support ourselves? And that is the big question. So for me, I see diversity definitely as a source of strength where societies can become healthier. And I mean, it's not for me, obviously, as you see companies more and more wanting diverse people from different backgrounds with different ways of thinking. It's precisely because you can become more prosperous with that. And we need to contribute more to this global civilization that we are becoming. And it is extremely important even to notice that without pluralism and without the critical thinking, without divergent opinions, we cannot reach more, we cannot plan for a better future, right? And this thing of hate speech is extremely important because what it tries to do is defy the concept of pluralism. It is spreading misinformation, spreading hate, dividing people, segregating people more. And the big problem is that nowadays people are so overloaded by information and that people are not stimulated to think about it, to reflect upon it, to understand if it is true or not. It is easier to just see what is in front of our eyes. I can give you an example. There was a German military, and he pretended to be an asylum seeker in Germany, and he got asylum, and people don't know how yet. And his plans were really to start having aggressive and violent actions in the community so that he could start a revolt against asylum seekers and refugees in Germany. And if we didn't notice, and if we didn't know that there was, if we didn't pinpoint the problem, and if he started having these actions, we wouldn't know, and we would probably not question, because we are so scared of terrorism and stuff like this that we would just start pointing fingers rather than understanding. So to answer the question, how can we act? And I think the most important thing that we can do is really try to develop our empathetic skills as much as we can to ensure that we counter-argue this empathy deficit that on one hand we don't see, but on the other hand we do see, because more and more, or not more and more necessarily, but some people argue that more and more we are surrounded by homogeneous social circles and people that are just like us, and that is extremely dangerous, right? Because we don't have access to other opinions. So what we need to do is be more open to going to uncomfortable situations, be more open to saying when we don't understand something, talking to new people, so important, people that are totally different to us, going into multicultural environments, or just people that think differently to you, to explore your ways of thinking more, and be more. And even in educational terms, we need to start self-reflecting more, because we know this is important, but we don't actively understand the consequences of our actions and how we are and who we want to be, and understanding that we all have biases, for example, and to live in a more pluralistic society where differences are accepted and they are celebrated. We need to also understand that we have biases that we need to deconstruct, and we need to understand who we want to be, and understand that as social animals, we act in groups, and what we do touches other people and will affect other people, and therefore we also in a way live for other people. So I think that educational programs more and more where there is critical thinking being stimulated, safe spaces rather than spaces where there will be hate speech, very important for people to have healthy debates where people are really engaged, not talking about theoretical things, but about things that people can really relate to in the day-to-day lives is very, very, very important. Having more promoting more programs of theater, for example, which is one of the best ways to really develop empathy. And in university, more and more students have the freedom to start their own groups, and you can start multicultural events and food markets and all of this. And this is the best way to just create knowledge societies and to counter all this contamination of disinformation that you're talking about, and to protect the rights of journalists, our rights and the rights of journalists, because this means protecting our right to quality information so that we can have a more informed judgment, right? And I think this is the most important, one of the most important parts for sure. I don't know if I'm talking too much. So I don't know if anyone has anything to ask or to say. Otherwise, I have a question to Maria. And my question is that we see more active youth movements as an example of social empowerment around the world. So which are the principal actions that you think are the best to empower and lead the youth?
Okay, so Rosario, very powerful insights from your side. Before answering this question, I would like just to add to what Bruna said, that yes, there is a lot of negativity and a lot of hate speech, especially throughout social media. And if we cannot avoid it in its essence, the first thing is to reflect on what we see, because the information nowadays is really fast, is really easy to get it. So just be able to reflect on what you see, what you hear, what you do, in order to understand. Now, about the question that Rosario, you made me, is for me the most important is to listen to young people. Every person has their own needs, their own personal way of learning. So from what I have seen with young people, the first thing is to let young people explore their vision of what they want to do. So to be able to visualize their own picture of what does it mean to them, their job, their workshop, their project they are going to implement or they are going to be part of. And also they need an example from others. They don't need to others to tell them what to do, but they need the examples. And that's why there are so many organizations and projects on this topic, so they can be the space where young people can explore themselves. Also, they need the autonomy to do things on their own. So we need to give young people the trust and the environment to flourish. They have so many new and creative ideas, so the space is all for them to create it, because the world is changing every day and they need to show their skills. Trust is from one side, and the other side is leadership. So through giving them the trust, they will develop their own leadership. Also, another thing for young people to feel empowered is not to give them the answers. They will explore them themselves. So sometimes it's easier to give an answer when you see someone wants to develop something, but the easier way is to lead this person to their goal. They will learn it better, and they will be able to transfer and transmit this knowledge and this idea to the others better. And lastly, for me, the most important is to give in any way and any source you're able to do it. Some people can do it more, some people can do it less. So just to give and young people will appreciate these insights for that, and I believe that they will be able to do more by these resources you will give them, and of course by giving you also get a lot. Yeah, so young people will be empowered with all of these things, but of course when there are these things that they need, they also have some responsibilities throughout it. So I would like to ask Victor, how do you think should be the role of youth in their communities? How young people could contribute to a citizen's participation in their community, in their town, in their city?
Yes, I know that this stage of life is a little difficult because we start to see the things in another way. We start seeing that the actions around our community is affecting our way of life. So it's the stage where you are like waking up, and the idea is that and the role of the youth is to refresh and renew society with new activities, with new ideas, and is to raise your voice. That your voice is important for the community because you can make a change with these new ideas that you have, and you can change the environment, the way that the ecosystem in you or in your neighborhood could change if you do some new actions. So I believe that the role is just to start thinking outside the box, start thinking that you can make the change and that you can really put ahead the problems and solve it in a better way and a sustainable way. Other question that you made is that how we can encourage another young people in the society. And I believe that that's the most difficult part because you very actively, you have to do actually to talk to create spaces for your neighbors to say, okay, these are the problems that we have on our communities, how we can solve it, how we can make action to just uh, make a different destination we are doing if we only keep the actions like we are doing in the last couple 20 years. So I believe that in actions create spacing for other neighbors to see that really or the youth are creating new things. You only can develop a greater future if you start acting in the problems that are always in your neighborhood. So I believe that's like all the thing that I have to say.
Thank you so much, Victor. I don't know if someone else wants to share or answer something related of the last question or something. I'm going to continue with another 2 questions, but if you want to share something, please tell me. Well, I'm going to share the screen now just to share 2 other questions, but I want to all the things that you are saying about the topics that we have speaking about hate speech, about pluralism, about how we need to give space, like Maria said, gave them trust and leadership too, and refresh and review activities, create ideas, like Victor, that also Bruna said, and also as Rosario said, you can make the change, and you are doing that change since your country, since your community, since your organization. And if you are a small group of people or young people that you are doing things, and this is the most important because you are creating changed. I'm going to share just here the screen to continue with two other questions that I wanted to discuss with you, and also these two questions we put in the questionnaire to the students. So I wanted to ask you this, and actually you can say it or you can just show your question. If we had another pandemic in the future, what advice would you give to other young people to be better prepared? And how would you define being a conscious and resilient young person? You can answer now, and also the people that are here with us, you can answer too if you want. So who wants to start?
I can get us started. I think that for me, and you had us write them down, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but for me, I put down be patient. I think that throughout the past few months, when it all first started, we were told we were only going to be on lockdown for 2 weeks, at least here in the United States. And then 2 weeks has turned into an entire year or more for some countries. And we were really quick to kind of react and think of all the negative things that would come along with it. So I think that, like Maria said earlier, take the time to reflect when something happens or whenever you do something. Take a pause and just really take a deep breath and think, okay, how are we going to respond to this? How can I help make things better? I think that everyone, especially during this pandemic, had a role to play, whether it was just wearing your mask correctly and at all times, or whether you were out helping people who couldn't leave their homes. Everyone had a role to play. And I think that if you think about that and you're patient along with it, things will improve faster than we would like them to.
Thank you.
I can go after if you want. So for me, the answer was, I don't know if you can see it, flexibility and solidarity. So I think that more and more everyone wants to become flexible, and flexibility, as we all know, means adapting to circumstances and trying to see above everything, trying to take the benefits out of every darker situation. So in the moments where all our freedom seems to be denied or whatever we feel like, we need to understand that there's so many opportunities for us. Staying at home means connecting more to our families, means connecting more to what perhaps is to ourselves, which is extremely important because today we can't really connect to ourselves. We don't have time for that. Connecting more to other passions and exploring them more, and ensuring that the way we do them is we use them for something good, independently of what it is. And for me, also solidarity in the sense of, firstly, if we already start preparing for a future pandemic, which we don't know how it will be, if it would affect us in a similar way to this or in a totally different way, in these crises, some people are always benefited and some people are less benefited. And if we start becoming more human with each other, we can mitigate the risks for other people. We can mitigate the dangers that they will undergo. So I think it's very important to exercise this too. So when something comes along and shakes the whole world, people are better prepared to confront it with more robust mechanisms that let people live under good circumstances. That is my.
Well, for me, it's also flexibility, because I think that this is one of the insights we will take after this year pandemic, that whatever happens, you need to be flexible on your project, to have plan B, plan C, to be able to adapt in the new situations. As many educational schools and projects went online, it was a difficult transition, but we are learning through experience as humans better than any other way. So this tool after this pandemic for the future, for any other future challenges we will face, or in general for the future, because small challenges are happening every time, and it's good to be flexible in many aspects according to a project, to a job, or whatever we are occupied of. So yeah.
Hello, Victor. I don't know if you can hear to us. Well, I don't think. Victor, can you hear to us? Well, maybe there
I
are
can hear you
some.
better.
Okay. Thank you, Victor.
Well,
So,
I don't
in
know
your
if
opinion,
this is uh-huh. Uh, the advice would you give other young people to be better prepared? It will be a good word for that because well, the pandemic is very difficult to to know how the circumstances is going to be, but resilience is the better word to to stress all the difficulties that could develop because um, every different context. Some people live in rural areas where you don't have internet, you don't have access to electricity, and the other people in the city they cannot go and buy some market. So resilience is a word where you adapt in a short time with the things that you have around you, and you have to just think that you have to do what you can do with the resources that you have, and probably you can live that period in a shorter time.
okay.
And
I don't know. Thank you.
connect
Ah,
inner and be resilient.
okay. Thank you so much, Victor. Well, I don't know if you finished. If you have finished, sorry. Well, we have just some minutes. We have one question here. Is do you think your generation is more compassionate with themselves and others, or is more self-centered in certain way? Someone wants to answer this question?
I can get us started on this one. I think there's a yes and a no to this question. I think we're a lot more compassionate with the people that are like us. So I've been lucky that I go to a really diverse university and that celebrates differences, and we're really compassionate with those people who also celebrate differences. I think especially being here in the United States and how politics is in this country right now, we are not as compassionate as we should be with people who think differently than us. And I think it's important to remember that people are a product of their place and time and how they were raised. And the matter of the fact is that some people were raised in places that celebrated diversity, and some people were raised in places where they never had and like Victor, are a part of, that are all about kind of bringing differences together, to understand each other, and understanding is how we're going to be able to become more compassionate.
I agree. I think that this new generation and our generation, we have way more tools to feel empathy towards each other. We have the ability to travel elsewhere, or we have the ability to get more in communication with different groups in our own areas. We don't need to travel anywhere. Even we can talk to our neighbor, to talk to someone that will think minimally different than us. But we definitely have all the tools necessary to feel more empathy. I think we also need to really understand what empathy means, because empathy is a really, really complex concept. And the majority of people, and I'm not saying they're not, but it's a big spectrum, and we like to believe that we have some misconceptions sometimes about who we are, and we believe that we are more empathetic than we actually are sometimes, because it's very different what we say and what we do. But more and more also because of being targets of hate speech, because of seeing hate speech all the time, we see more obstacles to feel empathy. But I think the key thing here is to not see the next generation or our generation as the recipients of hate speech, but as the people that can be the catalysts of change, the people that will co-create the world and that will co-lead the world, and giving, as Maria said, giving the power to the young generation to do this and to disseminate all the platforms with positive things. So I think there's definitely a lot of hope that we can have regarding this.
Well, thank you so much to all of you. We have just a few minutes to change the panel. I just want to end with this, like everything that we discussed today. I think that we have to care, we have to share, we have to feel and believe in ourselves, and then we have to care, build, and believe with others, and also with our community. So it are the things that you are doing, and you are making power to other people. So thank you, Bruna. Thank you, Rosario. Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Victor, and all the people that were here with us. And so see you in the next panel. Thank you so much.